All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. This is one of our pit stop episodes that we are doing at the SHOT Show 2026. We want to thank the Otis Technology booth for letting us use their booth to record these shows. And on this episode, I have with me none other than William Kirk.
Yeah.
Is it William or Bill?
It's Bill today, but it's William when I'm in the courtroom.
Okay, all right. And you're with Washington Gun Law.
Yeah.
How did you become a gun guy? Like, to me, it seems like you just came out of nowhere, and everyone's watching you, and everyone's talking about you, and everyone loves you.
It's been crazy. So I've been a criminal trial lawyer since the late 1990s. Worked as a prosecuting attorney for a while, and then had a very successful defense practice. In the summer of 2021, we had a little thing called the Summer of Love out there in Seattle, where our city was essentially burning. I mean, burning.
That was with the Chaz and the Chop.
Chaz, Chop, all
of that.
I ended
up out there. I ended up in Seattle interviewing Alan Gottlieb and some folks at the Second Amendment Foundation. And I was with one of my friends. We drove through the Chaz and the Chop. And the whole
I
deal.
think I said 2021. It was actually summer of 2020.
Right.
And I had this little standalone website called Washington Gun Law, which was just an educational website about, hey, here's how to get a gun. Here's how to be lawful. Here's how not to go to prison being a gun owner in Washington State. Suddenly, that phone number is ringing off the hook. And it's everyone that's living the real life of what's going on in Seattle, which is what happens if I accidentally drive into an Antifa rally? What happens if they're throwing Molotov cocktails into my business? Because that's the world we were living in.
Right.
And so I couldn't just call all these people back every day and just give out free legal advice, because the only asset that an attorney has to sell is time.
Right.
It's the only asset you have.
But it's 6 minutes at a time, right?
Right, exactly. So I jokingly said to my staff, hey, write down the 4 or 5 questions that everyone's asking. I'm going to do videos on them. I'm going to put them on a YouTube channel. We'll call it Washington Gun Law, and we'll just put the answers there. So when they called, they could like, hey, he's already talked about that. Just go to his YouTube channel. Because so many people were freaking out when they called, the emotion you could hear, the stress in their voice, the fear in their voice, and the confusion that they had, I intentionally tried to make the videos very informative, very simple to understand, and calming in nature, right? And so a lot of my videos, I will, like, everyone take a deep breath. I want to explain to you what's happening here. And that formula seemed to resonate with the audience. And so I just kept doing videos every day because I didn't have anything else to do during the pandemic, right? I had this huge law office and no one was there.
Right.
And I'd go in and, the videos were getting like 500 views a day. That's all I was getting. But inevitably, one viewer would leave a comment like, you should do a video about this. And I'd do a video, right? Because I didn't have anything else to do.
This is what business people say. Find something people want and sell it to them.
And then sell it to them, right? Lo and behold, one day, a person calls me up and says, hey, I got this letter from the... Oh, no, let me back up. I actually did a video about suppressors. How do you get a suppressor in Washington State legally? The next day, my Facebook page gets inundated with solvent trap ads. So I did a video on solvent traps. I was like, hey, bad idea.
Right.
Don't do this for 2 reasons. One, when you pull the trigger on it, God only knows what's going to happen. So good luck. But number 2, I said, I think the ATF's going to get a little ticked off about this.
Sure.
The video got like 5,000 views and 4,500 comments were like, you suck. You work for the ATF. You call yourself a Second Amendment lawyer. Get bent. And a lot of other things that I'm not going to say here.
Right.
And so that's fine. I put the video out. About 4 months later, I get an alert from Google that, hey, that video picked up like 35,000 views in the last 12 hours. And I'm like, well, what's going on?
Right.
So I did a little bit of research, and lo and behold, ATF had raided a company called Diversified Machine, who was making solvent traps. They had pulled the shipping records, and they'd sent everyone nasty letters. And these nasty letters were saying, we think you have an unlawful suppressor, and we need to talk to you now. And you can imagine how everyone was puckering up, right?
Sure.
People are freaking out. So I got to do what could have been an I told you so video. But instead of doing that, I was like, all right, everyone, take a deep breath. Here's where you're at. This is what you need to do. And the video blew up. It was the first time I got a video that went over 100,000 views in 24 hours. And that's when I realized, like, there's a need for on a national level for an attorney who can just talk in simple English and give it to people straight so that they can understand what's going on. And that's when I started kind of branching out of Washington State. Illinois gave me a lot of material to work with, and the pistol brace rule, and away it went. And, in just a little over 4 years, we're at 500,000 subscribers, and I've gone from being a full-time trial attorney to almost a full-time content creator in that time.
That's quite a crazy
it's all by accident. Because I never did it by... If you would have told me 4.5 years ago when I was starting doing the YouTube channel, I would have said, hey, this is just a little vanity project, and when the world comes back to normal after the pandemic, I'll just go back to being Bill the lawyer.
Right.
And it just You know, God works in mysterious ways sometimes.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Now, what's your schedule for putting stuff out? Because I know
About 6 days a week.
about 6 days a
Yeah, I
week.
usually try to not put anything out on Saturdays just because I want to have one day off. And my analytics tell me that a lot of my viewers just don't tune in on Saturdays anyway. So
Give the people what they want.
get the people what they want. Leave them alone when they want to be left alone, you know?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have, as one YouTuber to another, do you have a whole team of people that edit your videos? No?
You're looking at the team.
So this is one of the things that aggravates the snot out of me. I belong to a bunch of podcast Facebook groups, YouTube Facebook groups, and everyone gets on there and they're like, "Who edits your videos?" I'm like, "You do. What do you mean? Who edits your video?" I'm like, "I don't know how much you make, but I have to do all this stuff on my own. I got to figure everything out."
I'm too much of a control freak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you because this
Yeah.
is my show is my baby, and
Yeah.
I might have an ugly baby, but I don't want you to.
But it's
tell
your
me
brand.
ugly. Yeah.
It's your brand, and you've worked your tail off to make that brand what it is, and so you want to control the message.
Yeah.
And the stuff you dive into and the stuff I dive into can be a little controversial. People have a tendency to be a little emotionally worked up about it, and so if the messaging is wrong, it can be very not only devastating to your platform, but more importantly to the people out there that are relying on you for good information. So I control the content. Sometimes Gunlaw Jr., I'll pay him a few bucks to edit the A-roll, but then all the B-roll and all the text and everything like that, that's
you.
That's going to be me, yeah.
The worst thing for me is to sit down and edit video.
It sucks.
I would rather, I don't know, you name it and I would rather do it. But once I start doing it, I'm like, you know what? I really like my show. I like what I do. I like my gig, and it's not so bad.
Yeah, and I tell you what I like the most about it is I love my viewers.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I love my viewers is because if I go back in my time machine 5 years ago, well, I had a really super successful law practice, big law firm, ton of money coming in, but a ton of money going out, right? And I never realized it until I got a chance to slow down that big successful practice had actually become a prison cell for me. I was trapped inside of it.
Yeah.
And I was tethered forever to the clients, to the money, to the overhead, to the court cases, to the calendars, everything. I had zero freedom. Making a lot of money, no time to enjoy it at all, right? Probably not being the best dad and husband that I could be either.
Yeah.
And what becoming a full-time content creator has allowed me to do is we do get to set our own schedules. We don't have to put material out if we don't feel like it, right? Or if there's nothing worth talking about. So my viewers have given me so much freedom. They have given me my life back in many, many ways. So when I'm walking around the floor here and people come up and talk to me, I am so excited to meet my viewers because I cannot express my gratitude to them enough. They've set me free.
That's amazing. I have a day job. I have 3 part-time day jobs, and then I do this, and I love that I get to. I hate blowing my cover. I'm an instrumental music teacher at a bunch of private schools. So for this week, I just went to each school and said, "Hey, I'm not going to make it next week. I have an appointment." And I do this at all my schools, and then I get on a plane and go to Vegas.
That's awesome.
And
do you find music to be just a fantastic escape from all of the stuff that we have to deal with? Or is it for you? Is it more of a?
This is my escape.
This is your escape.
This is my escape.
Yeah.
My boss doesn't listen to the show.
Yeah.
I hope my students, my kids, the students I have are from 1st grade to 6th grade.
Not really their style yet. Yeah.
Really, yeah. So this is my escape. That's going to work. It used to. I mean, I got into music obviously because I love music and I love playing and gigging and everything.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where teaching wasn't fun. I don't really teach kids music. I teach them how to hold a violin. I teach them which hand's their left hand and right hand. I teach them what time it is. I teach them what day of the week it is, because that's when they need their instrument. So this is my escape. I get to come. I get to come to these, and I get to feel like I'm cool. People want to hang out with me. I give folks like you, be like, I'm like, I know you don't know who I am, but would you be on my show? And you're like, oh my God, of course. So I get to
I totally knew who you were.
I know, because we met last year.
Well, not only that, but when you talk to my legal assistant, that's actually Mrs. Gunlaw.
Oh, I thought so.
Right? And she was like, hey, this guy. I was like, are you serious? I actually watched that. I was actually excited. I was even telling the folks over at Right to Bear, I was like, I get invited to do these podcasts, and a lot of times you don't know who the heck these people are, but you'll do them because, it's cool.
Yeah.
And then when I heard I would get to go on yours, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I watched this guy.
So my deal was this. I wanted to I started doing shows a couple years ago at another booth here at SHOT Show, and I'm like, I'm just going to get the people I know and people that I've had on the show. And then last year I was talking to John Petrolino, and he's like, get people you haven't had. I'm like, okay, so now I got out of my comfort zone and ask people. And then, of course, people, the same thing. They're like, oh, yeah, I've seen your show. I know who you are.
Yeah, I totally knew who you were.
This is ridiculous. Last year I was at this booth, and Grant Cunningham came up. He's a revolver guy. He's out of Oregon. Yeah. And so he's written some books, and I'm a revolver guy. So I saw him, and I'm like, are you Grant Cunningham, the guy that, like, the revolver guy that writes, it's got a bunch of books and stuff? He's like, I am. I'm like, oh my God, dude, I am such a huge fan. You have no idea. I'm so excited to meet you. So I'm going to interview him, and when I'm done here, I get to go down.
How cool is that going to be for you, right?
Totally.
That's awesome.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, so this is my escape. I get to come here and be cool and hang out with folks and everything. Having the job that I have, they pay me just enough to not do any more work, and it's gone from being a salary job to an hourly wage job. And I hate saying that's the attitude that I've taken. But that's the attitude I've taken. And I tell them I can't make it to school, and I come off and I do this. But I have the freedom to do this, right? And I make up all the lessons that I miss. So this is my escape to get out and do things. Yeah,
it's a good escape.
It is.
It's a lot better than booze or drugs, which a lot of people use for escape. I
might enjoy the booze too.
Well, it's a little bit in moderation. It's all good, man.
Right. I enjoyed it much more when I was young.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is I love doing this, and people. I've had a lot of people say, "Dude, I might complain about a lot of things, but you've got a lot of freedom doing the stuff that you do." And
you're doing important work too, because you're bringing attention to a lot of things that otherwise people wouldn't have any attention brought to.
Yeah, I want these segments to be. Again, I don't want it to be current topics. Like, I don't know when I'm going to put the show out, so it's not going to matter. Like, we could talk about.
So we won't talk about a new ATF rule today. Don't worry about it.
There we go. It's breaking news. 2 months later.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's. I can't crank out material that enough because I am also a one-man show.
Yep. Yeah. I hear it. And that's the worst thing is when you got, like, there was a new ATF rule that dropped today.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm going to have to go back to the hotel tonight, do a video, sit down, edit the damn thing, and have it ready to go out tomorrow morning. And that's just, you got to strike when the iron's hot. Especially, I don't do it for clicks, okay? I don't do it for clicks, although, yes, selfishly, it will help with clicks. Right. But I find in the Second Amendment, especially when the law gets involved, that there's a lot of misrepresentation going on. There's a lot of people who are reading between the lines or just giving their summation of it, and it's not really accurate.
Yeah.
And so I want to try to be early to the party on those just so I can at least set an educational message as to what is really happening.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's way worse than you thought. Sometimes it's not nearly as bad as you thought. And sometimes you're pretty accurate, but I want to be able to set that tone with people. And I will use the actual text of the statute or the case so that people know this is not my opinion. This is the actual words that are being used. This is what it means.
Right. That's awesome. All right, we need to wrap it up. You've got somewhere else to be. How can people find Washington Gun Law on YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube, it's Washington Gun Law. X, it's at Gun Washington. And one thing I'll tell everyone is if you're tuning in to have someone tell you how to think, I'm not your channel, but I will give you all the stuff to think about.
Awesome. I love it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man.
My pleasure's mine. If you made it this far and you enjoyed the show, please share it with your friends because that is how we get the Stagecoach across America. We want to thank Otis Technologies. They are America's gun care. They are proudly American-made, and we're going to put a link to Otis down below as well. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.